Hello and welcome to another very special Halloween Attract Mode presented by Lady Arcaders. You are being joined by your host today, which is me, BigScared. Hello. And we have a very special showcase for you of a type of game that we're going to lovingly refer to as boomer shooters. Games with big booms, lots of action, and fast-paced stunts. Before we get into them, we do have a little event that I would like to tell you a little bit more about. Our International Day of the Girl event, which will be on the 11th. So please mark your calendars. We will be raising money for F.E.A.R this day and presenting a whole slew of cozy games. And if you want to know more, please absolutely check out our website or our socials for that. But without further ado, I want to introduce a phenomenal runner and a very special run of Trepang2 by AstridTheHorrorGirl. Hey Astrid, take it away.
Hello there. Thank you for having me. Yes, I am AstridTheHorrorGirl. I am a speedrunner. I play lots of horror games, and this is Trepang, which is very inspired by F.E.A.R, which is also going to be here later. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get us started on the first mission, and we'll go ahead and get ready to go here. By the way, BigScared, happy birthday.
Thank you. I didn't want to lead with today is my birthday, but I am super thrilled to join you and our good friend Jonathan Trepangus on my day of happy, and also Fina and John F.E.A.R on my day of happy. So, you know, it's just a gift to me from the community.
Absolutely. So, the timer is going to start whenever I click out of this loading screen, which is going to be in 3, 2, 1, time.
Yeah, and you might be asking, why does the timer start there instead of when Astrid loads into the game? And the pragmatic response here is because Trepang2 is set up with a hub world, and we are using glitchless New Game Plus. And so Astrid has to load back into the game in a specific sequence from that hub world. Right now, we are playing as Subject 106. We're going to call him John Trepangus, a.k.a. Trepangular Johnny. John doesn't remember who he is or why he's here, but here at the start of the game, we are being held hostage. We are a prisoner of an organization called Horizon, and eventually they will try to kill us. So buckle up, get ready. This is just the start of our journey.
Yeah, the first minute and 40 seconds of the run is this, moving slowly, which many speedrunners in the community have tried to figure out. Is there a way to not move slowly at the beginning? A way has not been found yet, but the hunt continues. But yeah, we are escaping, and pretty soon we're going to be out and about, able to actually move our full speed. And I'm going to try to get the first sort of sequence break in the game. I might not. I've been missing it lately. But I downpatched the game for this very specific reason, to be able to hopefully avoid this animation. I did not avoid it. Normally, you don't have to see this, and you can just already be out of this room instead of having to watch him look at the gun and everything. But I've been missing it lately. There's a very specific time where you crouch right before. I'm a jump. Screw the stairs.
I love that bunny hop you do with the just yeeting yourself off of the floor vertically. So good.
It's one of the things that makes Trepang such a fun run, is how you can kind of just slide and bounce and move off things and not treat enemies as though they are a barrier in front of you. You just slide on through them.
Trepang and F.E.A.R are both very special types of boomer shooters. I think of them specifically as movement-based shooters. And so not only are things like slide kicks, jump kicks, propelling yourself in various ways really important, but there is like a time slowdown mechanic in both games that becomes really important for things like boss fights to help you position yourself, help you position your fire and your lines of fire. And so everything about these games is super precise, and Astrid is executing these slide dash here phenomenally.
Yeah, there's a whole method of doing a slide, and the slide gets slower as you do. So if you go into a run and then take the run away, you cancel the slide, and then you can just go right into it, so you get all the velocity of the slide without getting any of the movement speed down of the slide ending. So the slides are actually a lot longer than what you see, but I'm canceling them so that they don't continue their full animation.
Before we get too far away from it, I want to point out that sword. Because this is something that sticks with me every single time I see this run. It's the fact that there's a sword right there. And we could grab the sword and use the sword. But John Trepangus here says, no, I am a man of the bullet, and I choose my weapons. And I will ignore this sword no matter how much you want to grab it. And I love and respect that for us.
So the reason also, this is a New Game Plus cheats mode. You may notice how huge the heads are on the individuals here. They're big because big head mode is on, and it's actually a speedrun strat. The hitbox of their heads increases along with the sides of their heads. There's a lot of enemies that are hiding behind shields. Well, their heads actually peek out over the shields, and because of that, you can just kill them. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think about trying to get around them, maneuver them, knock them down, all the normal tactics to take care of it. You just have to just shoot the little top of their head peeking out from over it.
And I want to point out that this is an Astrid created strategy.
It
Big
is.
head mode enabled for this specific category is something she discovered. And in the process of discovering how effective this was, I was watching her experiment with some of the other cheats. And there's one called Clumsy. And it was hilarious watching it because it actually slowed down the run because the soldiers were so clumsy that they were falling down stairs and they weren't reaching the points where she could actually kill them at the time that she needed them to be there.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about which cheats are enabled, it is extremely strategic which ones she's using and which ones she's not using.
Yeah, like one of my favorite cheats in the game is NPC thrusters, which makes the enemies just fly around and be silly when they get knocked down or die. But sometimes they will just fly away into an area where they cannot be killed and they need to die so that the door will open. And so they will die if they go out of bounds eventually, but you sometimes have to wait like 10 seconds where the game goes, okay, you can't kill them. They're gone. Bye.
And speaking of out of bounds, Astrid mentioned that she had downpatched the game for the run. Because this is the restricted category, downpatching it only really saves 10 or so seconds. For the unrestricted category, though, this opens up a lot of glitches because the most recent patch removed some of the skips that earlier tech had discovered. So downpatching your game, at least for the PC port of this, I'm not entirely sure if it's on console yet, is helpful if you want to go very fast because it opens so many doors for you in that sense. And as you can see, Astrid is hopping right back into the helicopter. She's on her way back to Hub World, and we're going to go into level 2.
Yep, got to get that that title drop. There it is.
There it is. Trepang squared.
That is the correct title of the game, but it sounds weird to say.
It sounds really weird to say.
Especially since I've been calling it The Adventures of Trepangular Johnny, and which is a better name, I think, objectively. So going into this room, you can unlock weapons in the game, and since it's New Game Plus, we'll have access to the grenade launcher and the proximity mines. So I'm just grabbing those real quick and gonna go to the next level.
And you might be wondering, what's up with the story at this point, right? Because we are approaching this from a potentially non-linear direction. It's a hub world. We don't necessarily have to go into level 2. But at this point, Astrid, aka Trepangular Johnny, has been rescued from Horizon. For those of you who don't know, Horizon is an organization that is very powerful. They are a scientific organization. They're not unlike an Umbrella Inc., but they're in a different font here, mostly through unethical experimentation. And we have been rescued by an organization that calls themselves the Syndicate. They are led by someone known as the Director. I know, very nebulous. And she wants your help in taking down Horizon. Your goal here is revenge, and this is a very broad term, right? John Trepangus has his own motivations, but the Syndicate have theirs as well. And we're going to unravel that as we go.
Indeed. We've just been dropped on one of their research locations. And this is another example of when to use the little jump. I could take the stairs, or I could just go up here and go right on across. We're going to go over here and turn off this gun, which is going to make these folks spawn. We're just going to get rid of them real quick with our grenade launcher. And these dudes coming around the corner, hopefully they get timed. Yes. So once you kill a number of them, they this part happens, Jackal calls, and then a box is going to drop here. And we want to open the box as quickly as possible, because if we don't, the box will teleport slightly to the left and we have to try to pick it up again, which is very sad. But it happens all the time, and it's something about like the box landing too close to the player and the game like trying to correct itself. But we want it to land close to us so we can immediately grab what's in there. Once those dudes are defeated, that also opens up this prompt, so you can put this there. We're gonna try to slide in. Good. Out this window. There's 2 ways to get up into this second floor. I'm gonna do the safer way, which is the jump still. The other way is to kind of like climb up, and you can, but the movement is so specific that there's a chance that you actually lose a lot of time trying to do it that way. But it is faster if you do get it right that first time.
So when you say climb, are you referring to a strat like the pillar climb in F.E.A.R, or something else?
It's more like there's a bunch of objects that you kind of like platform onto, but you have to hit them at a very specific angle, and any deviation to that angle like slowly drops you. Which is not the business.
Yeah,
you don't
I
want to
can
do
see
anything
that's a
slow.
problem.
So I just prefer just doing the little ground kick jump to get up. And then I'll spawn all these folks in here. Once I see the autosave, I know that they're dead. And then there's these folks here. And I heard the audio cue, that means they're all dead. So now we just wait for another box.
I love presents. I can't believe
Me
they brought me
too.
so many on my birthday.
It's true. They are doing this for you.
It's true.
Happy birthday again, BigScared. You are wonderful.
Wow, and you're wonderful.
Thank you. Oh, that's another thing. There's a lot of objects you can kind of stand on. And if you land on them, as you're landing your fall, you can press the slide button, and it will actually just launch you forward even further very quickly. So I try to take advantage of that as often as I can to try to propel myself forward. It's a bit of difficult timing. There's also super jumps in the game where you can come out of a slide and just immediately jump and it propels you forward. And that jump is extremely like frame perfect. And if you miss it, you're just kind of slowly going in the air on a normal jump with like moon gravity, like Halo, which is not helpful. So it takes a lot of practice and timing to get a lot of the very specific movement strats of this game. By the way, speaking of unrestricted, they skipped this whole elevator scene. You can just fall down the shaft ahead of the elevator, land on the ceiling, and walk to the next big part of the level, which is one of the only things in unrestricted that I've managed to be able to do, because that run is wild. And here's a little part where we can see the most confident man in the world come in and try to shoot at us, transform into the least confident man in the world right before our eyes. Because of our friend.
I love Friends.
Yeah. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Now, the premise was implied earlier of like, is this a scary game? I think yes. And perhaps folks that are witnessing this might agree with me. But there are people out there that will see a game like Trepang2 and say, yes, that is a shooter. It is not a scary game at all. It is simply shoot, go, bang. And this is normal, perfectly normal shoot, go, bang game things. And I would like to say, no, this is absolutely a horror game. Just look at what's happening.
Yes. That was someone who was transformed into some sort of creature, some moldy creature, by the Mothman that we saw earlier.
Mm-hmm.
The strategy here is to try to put mines on all of the entrances that they could come out of. A lot of them spawn there, but a lot of them spawn from different locations too. So we just kind of want to manage it as best we can. And that was a really good time. I'm real proud of myself on that one.
Yeah, that was beautiful grenading.
Thank you. There we go.
Now, I think it's important that we discuss the elephant in the room, and that is the name of some of the characters here. We call this man Mothman for reasons that I think feel pretty obvious, but there are other enemies, the smaller mutated ones, that are specifically named by the devs Jiggly Boys.
Yes, these enemies are called Jiggly Boys. That is literally what they are called.
And one of the cheats in this game is to turn all of the enemies you dispatch into Jiggly Boys and respawn.
Yeah. Literally.
It's so good.
Oh, here's where we first meet somebody who has something interesting. We were sent to rescue this person who's dead here, but they have something interesting that the first person with the sword also had, which is that little medal with some Roman numerals on it.
They got tokens for the subway. Yay,
Absolutely.
We can go home.
Finally. Got ahead of myself. Okay. Something you do in this game a lot is pull levers on fuse boxes. You will see a lot of that in the run. There's a couple sequence breaks you can do where you don't have to pull the levers and stuff, but there's so many levers in this game to pull. Like this one here. That lever starts a cutscene that we can skip.
There's a comment in chat that says, clearly the medals are references to the best Resident Evil game, Code Veronica X. And I commend you for saying something so bold and controversial, and also so true. So the goal of this task that Astrid is doing right now is she has to slide kick into the Jiggly Boy at such an angle that she seamlessly grabs them by their little jiggly throat and can yeet them into the various containers/explosive devices that are around this nest.
Something like that, yeah.
It's a nest-like area. And simultaneously avoid the Mothman. And she's doing it very well using the power of slide kicks and levers. And also some very precise grenading.
Hell yeah. This is my favorite part, which is hanging out at the elevator and just launching grenades at Mothman to keep him stun locked. Is invincible right now, but and there's strategies around this on the other categories that don't have infinite ammo like this one does. On the top of the elevator, there's a little collision that you can stand on, and then Mothman can't get to you. Other categories will do that. And then when the elevator dings, they just drop down and get sucked in. But I just have my back to the elevator, and then whenever it opens, it sucks me in, which is maybe a second faster than just being up on the thing. But you're relying on your hearing and your instinct to react, whereas this one, the game will just take you in when it's ready, which I trust the game to just be able to do that, basically.
Mm-hmm. And I want to point out that Astrid is pretty much the only runner that uses this strategy. Other folks will use the bunny hop to get onto the framework at the top of the elevator, so that way they're not technically glitched out of the bounds, but they're in a safer zone where Mothman can't really antagonize them as thoroughly. It doesn't save the 2 seconds because they still have to get back down off of that collision, but it is a different strategy that is also very effective.
Yes. By the way, I have to go into this area and kill my friends because they sadly want to talk with me and I don't have time to talk with them. So that was my team.
Yeah. Astrid chose violence. It's not confirmed that actually does save any time. She just does it because it feels like it does.
No, it saves time, I promise. There is another part where I kill my friends, and I don't know if that saves time, but I do. That one saves time for sure.
I got confused on which time was required and which time is optional.
Yeah.
But I guess in the spirit of like saving dialogue, it doesn't really matter, right? Save the time where you can get it.
Yeah. It's because you'll go there and they'll be like, "Good job, 106," and like, "You did a great job back there, 106." But if they are dead, then they don't say any of that, and the game just goes, "Huh, I guess we'll skip that part of code and just go straight into the next part."
It's true.
So now I'm back in the hub, and I'm gonna go choose the next level, which is Jorvik Castle.
Oh, Jorvik Castle.
Yeah, Jorvik Castle.
Now, you might, dear listener, wonder why we say it that way. And you'll see why. There is a specific enemy in this section of the game where there is a ridiculous setup for the fight, and I want you to try and anticipate where that might be. If you can spot it, let us know in chat.
It really is the best skip in the game, I swear.
It truly is. And it's absolutely allowed in the restricted category, which is beautiful. So Jorvik Castle here, it's kind of a pain in the neck because there are waves of enemies and they spawn in a wide variety of places, and this is simply a kill everyone so you can progress mission. nailing where they spawn and how many will spawn is something that takes time. Astrid has put a significant amount of her practice in this game into this level. So I'm very confident that she's going to nail it. But that doesn't make it any less of a challenge.
Oh, somebody's alive. There they were. I'm also putting a lot of mines on the ground because I know where the general enemies are going to be when they spawn and the routing they take and what they do before I wind up here. So I'm trying to cover all my bases to make sure that I have as little work to do by the time I have to come back here, which I will have to come back to multiple times.
Mm-hmm. And I want to point out that Astrid is throwing a substantial number of mines. If you are not playing this as a new game, plus with the infinite ammo enabled, you can only hold a maximum of 5 mines at a time. And so the strategy she's using is simply not achievable in other categories for this game.
Yes. Alright. This is the hardest routing I had to figure out in the game because everything in Jorvik Castle kind of looks a little samey. So trying to navigate through here was a pain on like my first like 20 runs. But eventually I got there, and I know it by just muscle memory now and everything. But every once in a while I'll do a run and I'll be like, oh no, I don't know where I am. And have to try to figure out how to navigate again.
I want to take a brief moment to celebrate the big heads again. This is my favorite area for the big heads because they're wearing these cultist masks that just make them look like sad boys. And, oh, it's precious.
So this is the Enforcer boss fight. Is a pretty tough fight. And he's dead. And basically, that's his whole thing. He appears, grenades, other dudes appear, kill them, they die, and then he appears again, grenades, and he's dead. That was a fairly okay fight with the grenade launcher, but the hardest part is right at the beginning with the boards and everything. They get in the way, and the grenades get stuck to them and fly at you, which hurts.
We're on our way back to the courtyard for extraction. Director, we've got unidentified helos closing in fast.
So, right now, there goes Horizon again. We just fought them in the last level. They're arriving and whatnot. And we're about to hear Dr. Kramer, who I kind of talked over earlier. And I'm pretty sure they told the voice actor, be as annoying as possible.
I'm not a child. I can walk on my own.
It's just the best.
It's giving Code Veronica Alfred Ashford for me.
Oh,
like
I think
no!
you're right.
Which, again, obviously the best Resident Evil. Chat was not wrong. It's just a bold and controversial take.
Like, I love Code Veronica. There's a lot of things I would change.
Yeah, it's an outdated game.
Yes.
But there are things that transcend its datedness that are still very fun. And this is one of the influences of that game, I think. Like, very flamboyant villains that give the voice actors a lot of opportunity to run with it and just chew on the roles they're given.
Alright, so we're going back to that courtyard now. Hopefully we hear some booms, which means they step on my mines. Yep. Yep.
That's beautiful.
Oh, very good. And then there's this helicopter. It's gonna drop some people. And I'm just basically going to shoot at it until the people stop dropping from it.
Central, this is Dagger 4.
I love how much spaghetti sauce they're just throwing out of that helicopter right now.
It's true. It's a lot.
There's so much marinara in these streets.
Sector 3, check in. We've lost contact with Sector 3. 106, find out what happened to them.
All right, Spectre 3 has changed. You won't be able to see what he's changed into, sadly. Okay. So, navigating through, still sliding, doing all that fun stuff. Try to hit the acceleration there. Got it. This little part, you just want to try to look at as many of the dead bodies as you can. Once you've looked at enough of them, then it will let you look at the other important things, which will send the mission forward. Right now, we're waiting for the director to talk again. Right now, we can look at Dr. Kramer. We looked at that body. And now we'll just wait for the director to tell us that we can't find Spectre 3. But I found Spectre 3. Spectre 3 is right here.
Aww. Everyone put an F in chat for Spectre 3. He didn't make it.
Could still be alive because apparently that's just the helmet. But the big old pool of blood next to the helmet, you know, it suggests otherwise, perhaps. Right when this bar is done, a cutscene appears, which we will skip. I literally don't remember what happens in that cutscene.
Beauty of speed. You're like, I remember the general story, but if you ask me to remember the details,
It's true. I'm clearing all this out of the way because we're going to be running through here, and also because I'm going to be just doing some bombardment with the grenade launcher as enemies spawn. Alright, that's it for them. Then they're going to come out of this door. And we'll do kind of the same thing. We want to wait for them to get out a little bit first, because they could fling back into the door. And now we'll do BigScared's favorite skip in the game, which is also my favorite skip in the game because, I mean, look at this.
I mentioned earlier that there was an absurd setup here. This is why the infinite ammo is so important. Astrid's gonna pile these mines several layers high, and this skips a boss fight with a very special enemy that is known as the Flesh Golem. Yes, a Flesh Golem. I'm gonna let you imagine what that looks like because we're never gonna meet this man. If she sets it up right, he will die immediately the moment he spawns, and we will get to skip the fight completely. If this goes poorly, we will have to fight the Flesh Golem, and ooh.
Yeah, Flesh Golem's a little rough. But
yeah, send your energy to support this. It's gonna be great.
let's see. There he goes. Yep, that was the Flesh Golem.
Yep.
Best boss fight in the game, to be honest.
It was not by his hand that he was given flesh.
Indeed. And then there's the Patriarch. I think we can all agree here at Lady Arcaders, down with this guy.
Yeah, I concur. I would like to support that motion.
Yeah.
I'm seconding it, and I'm putting it forward to a vote. Now, it is possible to fight that man in a wide variety of ways. We're going to talk about specific strats for when we actually boss fight him. But for now, Astrid's just going to kick slide away and go about her business and get this lovely upgrade. Do you want to talk for a second about what these do?
This little shot that we're going to go put through our very heavy sleeve is going to allow us to dual wield. Normally that is when you get it. I'm already dual wielding now though, because it's New Game Plus. But that's essentially what it's for. There's a scripted point in the game when you're supposed to get it, and I already have it. It's no concern. All right, there should be dudes that spawn here. Hello, friends. And now they should start spawning out here. And that's them spawning over there. And that's these dudes spawning up here. Alright,
will
the
say
music
the
change
one-
means it's done.
Yeah, the one thing that's unfortunate about you nailing these fights so well is that we don't get to appreciate how good the soundtrack for this game is, especially during combat sequences. Normally I would say the soundtrack is bangin', but in this case I'm gonna say it's trepangin'.
It is Trepang2.
Kill the patriarch.
Alright. Should be some... Those are my friends. Those are the cultists landing on my mind. On my mind. Hopefully we get a few friends that fall down in the hole, because it's really funny when they do. That dude's doing something interesting.
Oh.
Oh, they're all doing interesting things. Yeah, this hole is fantastic. I'm a big fan of it. We've got a gun falling down. There it stopped. And that's what's great, is like when the bodies fall, they get to a certain point and then just freeze, and then they don't make it all the way down. And sometimes they're still alive, so they're like spinning in a circle. It's fantastic. It's great game design is what it is.
This is the apex of survival horror. There's a hole, and our protagonist has descended into it.
Alright, I have the hardest skips in the game coming up right here. Okay, I made it. I did not make it. Okay. I thought I did. That's okay. It is
Got
unfortunate,
this.
but that's okay. Alright. Hello again, friends. I do return. Alrighty. Hello, friend. And now we just gotta kind of do the same thing. And that one we got to. Alright.
Very well done.
Thank you.
That is a very difficult trick. I want to point out to folks who are unfamiliar with what Astrid just did. Yeeting herself in such a way across the gap between the balconies saves 40 or so seconds. So even if you miss the first one, it's probably still going to save you some time to try again. Especially if you nail it the second time through like she did.
Oh, patriarch. Alright, so this is the patriarch fight. I'm gonna try and wait for these dudes to get down here. Kill enough of them. He'll spawn in the center here. And we're just gonna bombard that spot with grenades. That's done with his second. And now we're just waiting on the third. Trying to kill enough dudes.
Now, I mentioned earlier that there's a couple different strategies you can use for this fight. Some people use the bolt rifle instead of the weaponry that Astrid has chosen for this fight. And it's a very powerful weapon. It's very difficult to use this strategy, and it requires a lot of luck and precision. But the benefit is if you nail the bolt rifle strategy, you can do so much damage to him in the first and second phase of the fight that it skips the third one altogether.
Yeah, it's insane, and it's extremely difficult, and you also have to be extremely lucky. It's if you don't do it right, you lose a lot of time as opposed to just doing what I did. So it's a bummer. So I'm just like, for running in like a marathon or here on Lady Arcaders, I'm like, it's whatever. Like, I'd rather just deal with it in a way that I know how. So these are the dudes. I'm not sure if it's faster or not, but
Okay. The second party, perhaps sometimes we will, there we go. There goes the morale. We're doing it. I was gonna say, perhaps sometimes Astrid will dispatch them for the morale and to see if it saves time. And we got that today.
yeah, they get all upset up there too. They'll throw grenades down in this hole. Every once in a while, they'll jump down this hole after their friends because they see what horrors I have done. It doesn't go well for them because we have gone down quite a ways. And yeah, I have no idea if this saves time or not, but they theoretically get in your way, and will stand in your way as you're trying to progress through the beginning area here. But you should just be able to slide past and knock them down, but I'm just like, I won't take that chance. I'll just get rid of them. And here we go. This is, if there was a horror level, it's this one. Site 83. Here's another box.
I love how you say that as if the other levels aren't also horror.
This is...
But you're not wrong. This one has the strongest aesthetic.
Yeah.
It's got that fear lighting.
Mm-hmm.
It's got enemies that rush you from the shadows. It's got monster designs and a couple varieties. This is also where we get lore dumps about Horizon, you know, the organization that was holding us hostage at the start of the game, and the various types of experiments that they're doing. It also has some mystical artifacts that, depending on which category you're running, you're going to interact with. You'll, of course, be spending a lot more time with them on a casual run. And generally, this is the area where you got to watch out for things like flashing lights and particle effects. So if those are things that you're sensitive to, please be mindful as we go through Site 83.
Yes, that is a good point. Also, that dude who just talked to me is like, all right, doors open, get back here. That man is dead in the elevator. I don't know how he did that. That's pretty impressive, to be honest. All right. Also, there's little voice messages that are put over the intercom that say fun things like, movement detected in the laundry area, 600 kilometers an hour. And it's like, oh, cool. We have a jump scare coming up, just so you know. Here it is. Jump scare is over.
Yeah, we haven't really talked a lot about the way that the NPCs and characters that we're fighting react to the character. Because as a spiritual successor of F.E.A.R, that is something that is robustly programmed into Trepang2. We have responsive enemies. They adapt to the way that you approach them, not only in terms of combat, but their voice lines. And throughout the story, some of this will shift depending on how you engage with them. It's really cool to see.
That's the black cloud smoke monster from the television show Lost. Once we get close enough to the door, we just slide in. We hear it angrily growl because we escaped. And we'll just continue. But that enemy, whenever it hits you, use a little bit of health, and you get jump scared. And then this happens. What is this?
Oh no.
Where have we been transported to?
Say it isn't so.
Oh no.
Not like this.
Not like
again.
this.
Not again. Not after the last time. Welcome to the Backrooms, gamers.
Indeed. When this game actually had a demo that was out for a very, very long time, 6 years there was a demo for this game, people found that the Backrooms were developed out of bounds in this game. And it was actually really big, and people are like, oh, what a cool Easter egg, not knowing that it would actually be a part of the video game when it came out.
And if you listen really closely, during these backroom sections, you can hear whispering. It's very subtle, but if you listen for it, it's there, and there's like no other audio. It's so unsettling to experience, especially on a casual setting where you're like, where am I? What is happening? Oh no.
There's a little sequence break here. That gate always opens, but there's a little lever that you have to pull to open it. But we can actually just jump over the gate and then jump over the gate at the bottom. And then we don't have to worry about the slowdown of going all the way up the stairs, doing the whole lever thing, pulling the lever, coming all the way back down, which there will be enemies. Instead, we can just jump over the gate by doing single foot kicks to propel ourselves in slow-mo, and then crouch jumping up. And then we can get over the gate. But for now, we're back in the back rooms.
And I also want to point out that it's not as simple as falling once you go over these different barriers. You do have to slow your momentum a little bit, and if you miss, you have to reposition with more jump kick. So Astrid is underplaying what she's doing here. That is a really hard skip that she did there.
Listen, I'm just trying to keep it nice and simple and just be like, I went fast there, you know?
But you did, and it's phenomenal.
So this part, it doesn't look like I'm doing much, but what I'm gonna do here saves so much time. I'm gonna come over here and get close to that, which slows my game down, and do the same thing over here. That slows my game down. Once I get in that slow-mo, I know I've got it. Then the auto-saving lets me know that I did it. And that skips a whole segment that I would normally have to watch, play out, go explore, wait for objectives to show up and make me walk toward things. Instead, I can just go and do all that, and it saves close to a minute to just walk to those locations, get caught in the sort of, hey, don't go over here yet field. So it looks very simple, but it's just a matter of being like, yeah, I just need to get over there and walk into that spot they don't want me to stand yet.
Mm-hmm. And by doing that, Astrid is forcing the enemies to spawn. Normally, you would just have to sit there and wait for it.
Yep. Come down, my friends.
Now, I mentioned earlier that Big Head plus Clumsy involves some really interesting outcomes when you pair them together in a run. This was the sequence I was referring to where the enemies, because they're bumping into each other because they're clumsy, can take a lot longer to get to you.
Yeah.
So this is part of the reason why we did not enable Clumsy for the speedrun today. Even though it is very funny.
It is. They also play little sound effects when they trip, too. Which
yeah,
is
it's like a
funny.
slide whistle.
Yeah. And that should take care of that. So fun fact, this little area, if you look, you can see figures there. It's actually just a little collision, like, cube. You can actually stand on top of it, and you can just be up there. I don't want to, though. But you can, like, do a little kick jump to, like, stand on top of all those shadow friends. And we pull the lever to destroy their artifact of doom, which the explosion, like, sucks us in. And
Which is
when
an interesting choice.
Yeah. And when we come to, we see that it didn't really go well for the rest of the facility here.
It's a really good thing that we got sucked out of that explosion.
Indeed.
Otherwise, we'd be down there in that crater.
That would be unfortunate. Okay, let me do that. Skipping the get off the elevator? The helicopter cutscene. And we go to the last level that we can select, which is Horizon HQ.
Now, up until this point, the game has really painted Horizon as your big bad. And so this is intended to be a final showdown. You can't tell, but I'm doing some air quotes here. Against their leader, who is named Anton Lazar, which is just chef kiss of a villain name. It's a good one. At times, you'll hear him trying to convince his people to leave over the PA. They don't, because they love him and they want him to survive. Unfortunately, we're going to Trepang so hard that none of those efforts are rewarded.
It is true. All right, so this takes care of that area, and we'll just let this gate open here.
And much like the courtyard level, a lot of this level is just remembering where enemies are going to spawn and predicting the paths that they might take, strategically placing explosives so that way we circumvent a lot of the mobs, and then just precise grenading.
Alright, now we can leave this area. Push our little button that we have here. There's a little path that we take precisely over this bridge coming up. And I'm hanging out on this little thing because it's better than trying to weave in and out of the debris on the bridge. Instead, I just hang out on this. There's a weapon that we're going to pick up here that we need for a skip at the very end of this level. So we're picking that up and proceeding with the grenade launcher otherwise. We'll come back to that other weapon soon. Just going to put this on the door. And this is going to be another moment of memorizing where enemies are going to be. There's a group over here that we want to take care of as fast as possible. There's a group down here. These folks are going to open a door at the end. This angle lets you see basically every spawn point, so we hang out here. Next dudes are there. And next dudes are here. Once we see that autosave, we know we're good to continue. This screen starts opening. There'll be some dudes here. That'll cause the elevator to open, and we skip the cutscene. And that's it with that section. Just gonna not use the stairs again and get myself on up here to defeat more enemies. I saw that dude slide over here. Sometimes the grenade doesn't kill them, it just sends them sailing into some other location where you have to then dispatch them wherever they land. Alright, here comes the skip that we're going to do with the other weapon. Basically, there is a gauntlet section that we kind of would otherwise have to do where all these brains in jars start spawning on the map. And we have to go to each individual one and destroy them before their little brain meter goes all the way up. But actually, all those brains are being stored just off the map over here. And we're just gonna shoot them. And when they all die, then everything will be fine. This skip works more than half the time. There it goes. And that destroys the whole thing, and that saves literally 4 whole minutes doing that.
Yeah, in a casual run, this brain segment is tedious.
Yeah.
It is extremely challenging, and it is just a segment where they're tasking you with using up all your bullets and health.
Yeah.
So being able to dispatch those brains really early not only conserves resources, which on a New Game Plus run aren't particularly important, it conserves time, it conserves energy, and also the bandwidth of remembering what to do in those moments, right? Because otherwise you'd have to memorize all those spawns and effectively dispatch them in sequence.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll just go home back to my little hub base now. I'm sure that everything will be fine.
Yeah, everything's fine. Nothing weird will... Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, our new besties, the Syndicate here, they're tired of us trepanging around.
Yeah.
They're done with John Trepangus' shenanigans, and they too would like to kill us.
Yes. Right now they're feeding us into a fire, Portal 1 style. But Trepangular Johnny ain't having none of that.
And you might be wondering why we were called Subject 106 at the start of the game. Spoilers, we are the 106th clone. and we will not be the last clone. And fun fact, we're gonna meet clone number 107 very soon.
Yes.
So it turns out that every boss we fought, including the CEO of Horizon, all of these random soldiers, all the cultists, they were simply other clones that refused to die when the Syndicate was done with them. And we were sent to hunt them down, execute them, and clean up all of their dirty work. And thus, we are the last piece of the puzzle for them to eliminate to cleanse their hands, so to speak. They're expecting us to roll over, but as you can see, Astrid ain't going down without a fight.
Absolutely
and
not.
John Trepangus is out here just yeeting everything into oblivion.
The important part of the strat here is to start dual wielding these submachine guns. Those dudes took a little bit. That was sad. Because they will chew through the fight that we're going to have here against 107, who comes in different stages and phases. He'll be here in a second.
Now, much like some of the other fight sequences, we have to approach the fight with 107 with memorization at the forefront. You gotta know not only where he spawns, where to shoot him, and which weaponry to use. As you can see, Astrid is no longer using the grenade launcher. This is the dual machine guns, and she's using slow-mo a lot more than she would otherwise be using because it helps concentrate the fire, and it helps her accuracy. So that way we can really have those pinpoint precise shots on the heads, which you would expect to be easier in big head mode, but on a level like this is not as easy as you would think.
Yeah, so there's a cutscene that I skipped right there. 107 chopped off our hands, so we're not dual wielding anymore. It was very unfortunate. I'm gonna mostly skip this. If you're a really fast reader, you'll be able to get it. But it shows you what happened to all the other clones that refused to go down in these little, like, incidents. And okay. Now, we want to wait for these dudes to land. If we kill them too early, some of them will refuse to come down. And that's bad because I need them to come down so that the game can continue.
Yeah. And if Astrid doesn't allow them to drop down, the ones that
That's
will
time,
stay
by
at
the way.
top-
Sorry.
Oh, go for it.
That's time.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
But if they don't let the enemies come down, it will soft lock, which is unfortunate because time is right there. And so if you soft lock at the last second,
Yeah, it's very sad. I've had it happen to me a couple times.
yeah. Congratulations. That was a fabulous run of
Thank you.
Jonathan Trepangus and his fantastic men.
Yes, thank you very much. I love this game. It is so much fun. It is very inspired by what I believe is the next run for the day, which is F.E.A.R, and it even ends the same way. With a
big explosion.
Yep, with a giant explosion that our character was undoubtedly a part of and was in. And that we definitely caused. So, yeah, that is Trepang Squared, also known as Trepang2. John Trepangus rides again, and the adventures of Trepangular Johnny. I rest assured those names are all names for the game. And thank you for having me, Lady Arcaders, and happy birthday, BigScared.
Thank you. Before you head out of here, where can the lovely folks watching find you?
You can find me on twitch.tv/AstridTheHorrorGirl. I play horror games and I speedrun horror games. That is basically what I do. I upload things to YouTube as well, and that's pretty much what happens. Yeah.
Awesome. Folks, don't go anywhere. Now that we are done with Trepang2, we are going to take a very brief intermission. And when we come back, we will be joined by F.E.A.R as she runs First Encounter Assault Recon, aka F.E.A.R. So get up, stretch, and we will see you in just a few moments. Hello, and thank you again for joining us for a very special Halloween Attract mode. Next time on Lady Arcaders, we're doing something a little bit different. On Wednesday, the 11th of October, we are celebrating International Day of the Girl with a 12-hour event featuring nothing but cozy games. I know. In this, our month of scary, we are doing cozy, but it's for a phenomenal cause. We will be benefiting CARE. So if you want to know more, please, of course, check out ladyarcaders.com/events. The schedule is posted there, and everything you need to know about the event is there for you as well. On our next Attract mode, which will be taking place on the 15th of October, we have a very special 100% run of Luigi's Mansion by Elite Spud. So we'll be dipping our toes right back into the scary content with Luigi, my favorite of the green Marios. Don't forget, submissions for Attract mode are open year-round, and showcases are always something we're looking for, so we would love to have you apply if you are interested. All you gotta do is check out ladyarcaders.com/start and fill out the submission link. In a similar note, we are also accepting applications for volunteers year-round. So if you're interested in joining us behind the scenes here on Lady Arcaders, whether it's for Attract mode or for the Super Showcase every year, you can find more information about that process as well on ladyarcaders.com. Stick around, we are about to raid into Mars Cakes, who is playing Haunting Ground. She's also wearing a very special cosplay of Fiona. I don't want to spoiler it for you, but it's very cute. So please make sure you stick around, grab that raid message, and of course, thank you so much for being here. I've been your host, BigScared. You can find me as BigScared wherever, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care, everyone.